Hello, I'm Philip Silverstone. What exactly does that mean? Stick around, and over the next few minutes, I'm going to show you.
You need to meet our next guest, Mr. Philip Silverstone.
Hello, everyone. I cannot resist having that every week. Lionel Blair and Gabby Rosen from God knows what year that was, but it was nice. I like Lionel Blair, probably the only person from the UK who does, but there you go. Hey, listen, we have an amazing, absolutely brilliant show today, but before we begin, I have to say something nice about somebody, so I'm going to do that right now. All right, here we go. SilverstoneLIVE is powered by Experiment, King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, the Apple specialist for people who can't afford the Apple stores and who want a less frenzied experience. There's no wait time at Experiment, King of Prussia. They accept trade-ins and transfer data at no additional charge, and most repairs are finished in under 15 minutes, and they can add memory on the spot. Experiment, King of Prussia, specializes in selling pre-owned Apple products, a full range, computers, iPhones, iPads and accessories, making repairs, taking trade-ins and selling software and system updates. And every purchase comes with a 12-month warranty. SilverstoneLIVE is only live each week thanks to our studio equipment, care and support by my... Well, I was supposed to say by my mates at Experiment, King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. But there you are, I did that one live. Listen, folks, there's a few of you already watching, which is absolutely amazing. I'm going to do something completely different. And now for something completely different. Before I introduce this week's guests, plural, you all know that anyway, I'm going to have them open the show with a little song that they prepared for us. So how about we listen to that right now?
1, 2, 3, 4. Some choose to love, some choose to hate, but you must pick the path you wanna take. As I looked into her eyes, the choice I made had come as no surprise. There's one simple rule, the devil has his due. You wait until midnight. You wait for his call. He'll plead with you when he knows it's for real. You know, my dear, it's far too late. She spoke the words and with it sealed his fate. Although I asked 1,000 times, there's nothing I could say to change your mind. I was such a fool, I don't want this at all. You wait until midnight. Can't wait for his call. Why can't you see this time it's for real?
Absolutely amazing, 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 amazing. And I'm glad there's as many of you. Hi, Rabina. We'll talk to you in a minute. Let me get on with the show. As a child, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to just ramble for 1 minute because my guests are drinking too much in the green room of my mind. As a child, I used to go to Bournemouth in Hampshire every summer with my parents. It's on the south coast of England. We'd stop and drink our tea out of a flask and smoke salmon sandwiches out of a picnic basket en route in the New Forest. And I always had a fantasy of just I don't know why, but I had a fantasy of just writing and performing music in that part of the world. I always liked music, and I always liked the New Forest. And what a coincidence, because that is precisely where my guests, or at least one of them, we'll find out if it's all of them, make those dreams come true. Mark and Steve Owers could easily pass as brothers, as you'll see from their uncanny resemblance to one another. And Nell Montague-Rendall, and I'll find out from her if I'm pronouncing her surname correctly, Nell thankfully bears no resemblance to them whatsoever. I really, actually, look, just between us, they're in the green room. I really just wanted Nell on the show alone, but you book one and you get all three. So, that's the way it is. But seriously, this mesmerizing trio of artists are collectively known as Danze Macabre, and each brings their own dazzling virtuosity to the Gothic Rock band. This is a fusion of classic rock, superb storytelling, and Nell's operatically trained powerhouse voice. You already know this, I'm an enormous fan of this band, so it's my pleasure to welcome Mark and Steve Owers and Nell Montague-Rendall, she'll tell me. And by the way, if you didn't know, Nell is going to be the one right in the middle. So there they are. There they all are. Let's put them all on the screen so you can see all three of them. That is Nell in the middle, isn't it? Yep, there they are. And you can see their names in front of them. Now, they are in the New Forest, and the cable signal there isn't very good. The internet signal isn't very good. So if they look like they're on the moon, then they're on the moon. So anyway, well, listen, welcome to all of you, and thank you for doing that opening. That was lovely.
Thank you. Thank you. Absolutely.
I have to ask Steve. I always start off with the more difficult questions, but I have to ask Steve. This might be another Steve, and it may not be you, but did you or do you drive an XJS Jaguar?
I do indeed.
So it's the 1993 coupe in Solent Blue with the oatmeal interior, and it's manual.
It is indeed.
You still got it? You still got it?
Yeah, I have still got it, yeah.
It is a beauty. We both like the same animals, and I was hoping that was yours. So you are elevated. You're up there now, in my estimation.
Thank you so much. Yeah. No, I still got it. It's a treasured friend, a faithful, what do you say, warhorse or something.
It's not very good for carrying all your gear in it, though.
No. It's got room for a sort of toothbrush and a guitar. That's about it, I'm afraid. But there.
And Nell, did I pronounce your last name correctly?
Absolutely. You're probably the first person ever to pronounce my name correctly. So well done.
It's just Rendall.
Rendall, yeah.
I don't mean it's just Rendall. It's Rendall. So I'm going to ask each of you something, that I've dug up on you. Mark, I know I'm very, very jealous. You have a red Jeremy J. Lewis 1 guitar, and you actually demonstrate it on their very first sound file on their website, which is amazing. It's absolutely a brilliant sounding instrument. What? You may not want to tell me this, but what does something like that cost?
Well, Jerry he is selling them. I mean, they're made in a very, very small run. I think he's only going to make something like sort of 90 units. I think he's sold about 4 or 5 or something at the moment. I'm not quite sure where he is with selling of them, but they're about $50,000. So they're not cheap. Yeah, I know.
Oh my God! I mean, I just posted this morning a photograph of Megan. You've heard of Megan, that while she's down under wearing a dress by Oscar de la Renta. And for those of you that liked it, you never asked me how much it was. That one dress she wore last night or this morning, or tomorrow as it is, was $8,000. So the guitar isn't that bad when you consider that. Anyway, now I'm going to ask you, when you were 17 years old, which let's be honest, was just 2 years ago, I know. Earl Carpenter took time out from playing Phantom of the Opera to surprise you with a Daily Echo-sponsored scholarship, which included appearing with the Bournemouth Symphony Orchestra. I'd like you to tell the audience what that scholarship included.
Well, the scholarship included, it was just a part in a production called West End at Home. It meant my parents didn't have to pay, which was a great bonus. And yeah, I got to work with Earl Carpenter and a few other West End stars. And I also got a solo, so hey, that was all good. At 17 years old, not bad.
That was pretty amazing. I'll tell you what else is amazing. I'm putting this up on the screen now. There's somebody on here that says you have an amazing. It's a good show. It's a decent show. Amazing band. Nell really does have a powerhouse voice. No bias here, of course. The visuals are a bit fuzzy, but the sound is well worth sticking around for. This is a woman, I don't know, Sarah Owers. Who is Sarah Owers? But anyway, I'm going to put you mostly on the screen. We don't need to see me. Oops, there we go. Let's put them on the screen there. They got much prettier faces than me. Hi, Anne. I know you're watching Stand Up to Cancer tonight, which is very important, but you can do both, I'm sure, or you can watch this back on a video. So let's get down to a bit of business here. Mark and Steve, your first band, Fury, well, that actually supported AC/DC. Now that must have seemed like jumping in the deep end and a dream come true for you.
It was really exciting at the time. I mean, I have fond memories of it. We only did a few dates with them, but we were really very young, so I'm just out of school. And
I was a mere child. We were kind of thrown into the classic memory of this is that we were in a friend of ours' van, and the first gig we did, we had to reverse the van up to the loading ramp. This all sounds great, but the loading ramp was about 10 foot above our van because it was used to taking articulated trucks and things. So there's a ridiculous sight of us all men handling our gear up to the ramp, while actually AC/DC's bass player turned up in his Ferrari and watched us sort of
struggling with our gear.
Yeah,
didn't offer to help.
But it was great fun. Yeah, it was great fun.
Oh, it must be a great memory. And your next band was Lion's Heart. And other than the name change and not having lead singer Steve Grimmett, did your music take a different direction at all?
A little bit. I think there are some things on the Lion's Heart album which kind of head towards what we're doing now. They were sort of formative
proto.
Yeah,
proto sort of Danze
Macabre in a way.
Yeah.
There's a track called Portrait on there, which is kind of in the way we write now, but Steve and I were only experimenting with it then. So the whole album didn't have consistent material like that, just the odd track here and there.
So you were just practicing for me then?
That's right. We're just getting ready for that.
Well, we're going to get to that, but I actually think that they were. I just want to show everyone, because I forgot that I did have a photograph of this. I have to show everyone what a $50,000 guitar looks like.
Absolutely.
Look at that. It's floating in the sky. Look at that. Oh, my God. That's the sort of thing that I'd go to prison after stealing. I mean, I would definitely steal that off of you. So after Lion's Heart, you continued creating music in the true classic rock genre, which led to your next incarnation as the Psychics. If we take Fury as the caterpillar and Lion's Heart as the metamorphosis, was the Psychics almost a butterfly?
Almost. Not quite, I don't think. I mean, we had a few.
Yeah, more of a moth.
Moth that had been hit with a bit of a magazine. An annoying moth at the window that you had to whack with a magazine. That was the psychic. Yeah.
So it was one of those things that at the time it seemed the thing to do, because frankly we've been working, Mark and I've always worked on loads of different projects with other people, usually writing stuff for singers. And we did that thing with Grimmett. Around the same time as the thing with Grimmett, we were doing a thing with Ian Gillan from Deep Purple. It was exactly the same time, which never actually really happened, because and we got so ticked off with all the things that happens with lead singers, apart from until we had Nell. But that I thought I'm going to do this. Whatever happens, if I sound like a frog, I am going to do the vocals on this one. I'm not going to, we're not going to find or work with somebody, because we're just sick to death of all those things that went wrong with it. Lead singer disease is a very true thing, I'm afraid.
Nell hasn't shown any of those tendencies yet.
I think what I was saving that for is that it's clearly the butterfly now. I'm a great believer in destiny, and Danze Macabre seems to be what the three of you were ultimately destined to create, because you have just this amazing chemistry together. And what I can't work out now is how you met these two chaps. By the way, I was not going to mention this, but we have a regular lady from Scotland who watches this, and she says that Steve has lovely lips.
Well, we think he has to, don't we, now? They're always saying to each other, aren't they?
Lovely lip.
Thank you. Thank you, lady.
He's not going to know what to do with them now for the rest of the year.
I know I shouldn't have said that, but let's get on to Nell telling me, rather than just saying that you had mutual friends. Was there any specific occasion that brought the three of you together?
Yeah. I was in a local tribute band for many years. Actually, we just gigged at all the local pubs and things. It was a 50s and 60s band, and our regular bassist couldn't make a gig, and literally through a mutual friend, so our lead guitarist in the band knew Steve, both Mark and Steve, and Steve thought, oh, why not, I'll just come along. So bless him, he did the gig with us, and then we did that gig.
You did the demo.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So, and we wanted to do a demo for future bookings and things like that. So we came over to the studio, to these guys' studio, and did our demo. And literally less than 24 hours later, I had a voicemail from Mark asking if I wanted to come back and just sort of have a listen to some of the stuff that they'd been working on. And so I thought, yeah, why not? Absolutely. And I just absolutely fell in love with it. I know that sounds so cliche and everything, but you're right. When you say it's destiny and that we have this chemistry, it was like since that first sort of time in the studio.
It just worked, We had one song which is on the album,
If I Die Tonight.
Yeah, and I played that to Nell. And actually, a friend of ours, a friend of Steve's, his wife had sung the demo for us. And she was a great singer, but she had family and all the rest of it. She didn't want to be committed to doing anything music-wise, and it wasn't done with that intention. We just wanted her to sing it and see how it would work. So I was able to play that to Nell, and as soon as she heard the song, she was like, "I've got to sing that song." I said, "I've got to do that song," and we were so in. Their performance.
I mean, it's magic. I want to just mention to the audience that I've never had three guests on the show before, so it is a test of Skype, and I can tell you that Skype really and truly is only set up for one person. So that's why you have the pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, of not seeing me most of the time this week, because I'm going full screen on my guests. So that's good. I want to stay with Nell. Now, Nell, Nell is short for Eleanor, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just want to point out to the audience, because I like to tell them a little bit of background stuff, that Eleanor Montague-Rendall is the daughter of two internationally renowned opera singers, mezzo-soprano Diana Montague and tenor David Rendall. Diana Montague made her professional debut as Zerlina in Don Giovanni with Glyndebourne touring opera in 1977, and David Rendall, he started out by singing in a skiffle group while in secondary school. He originally had no intention whatsoever of singing opera professionally, but, and this is the part that really excites me, he was discovered while working at the BBC, sorting records for my favourite BBC radio show. I listened to it today, and it's the longest in existence. It's called Desert Island Discs. Now, let's move on to Nell. I wanted to give that background because your parents are very important to you. Your parents are, to quote you, your heroes, and they had an enormous influence on you, and of course your brother Hugh. Now I know this is about the three of you, but I want to do a wider picture here.
Absolutely.
Let me just tell the audience that Hugh is a 2018 graduate of the International Opera Studio in Zurich, and at 24 is a fast-rising baritone, already establishing himself as one of the most interesting talents to watch in opera. So, Nell, what made your parents heroic to you, and how are you melding their influence and opera in general into Danze Macabre?
They're my heroes because they brought up 4 children together. We had the most wonderful childhood. We all travelled the world with them. I mean, I quote continuously throughout my life so far that I was literally brought up backstage of all the most renowned opera houses of the world, and nothing was ever a problem for them. They just got on with absolutely everything, and then yet we still had such a normal upbringing, and
right.
they've had the most fantastic careers, and my brother, I mean, when you were saying that, welling up with pride, literally, it's just, he is doing so phenomenally well, and with my background and being classically trained and everything, the most precious thing for me about working with these two is that we've actually been able to bring that classical music into our music, into Gothic classic rock. I mean,
Yeah.
It sounds bizarre when you say it out loud, but it is. We have so many orchestral sounds, and even my voice in Connected, we've got a little bit of an operatic middle eight, and I'm actually allowed to be 120% myself in this, and I'm allowed to just be the daughter of international opera singers who have been classically trained and singing music that I absolutely adore. And how lucky is that? What more could you ask for?
I'm so bloody jealous of all of you, actually. Mark and Steve, I just, your dad was a professional jazz musician back in the 50s. I'm curious to know, did you go to his performances? Did you hang out with any musicians? What was his influence on your work?
Well, entirely a bit like Nell, really. I suppose he started us playing. I can remember my father, when I was about 11 or 12, Chuck Berry came over and did a tour. This would have been in the sort of late 70s in Britain, and he took us to see Chuck Berry, and it was like a revelation moment for me, because I thought, when I saw this guy playing the guitar, and it was just something again from the pop music we had at the time. It was like raw and really exciting, and that was a massive thing for me. That's why I played the guitar, really. After that, I got into all the other things, but initially it was my dad virtually forcing us to go
He
and
used
watch
to make
Chuck
us
Berry.
listen. He would play like blues. He figured that
jazz.
blues would be a good way to get us into what he called serious music, because he thought, going straight in with bebop might be a bit of a leap. So he would, he'd play loads of blues stuff, the Kings, you know, all that kind of stuff, and we were like immersed in it. My mother, her sister, was a professional singer as well in the 60s. She sung backup for people like the Animals and the Stones and things as well. So we're kind of steeped in it.
Wow.
So,
Wow. And all my...
We didn't really...
Sorry.
We didn't really have a choice of where the career, the path we were going to take.
Yeah, all my dad ever did was drag me to cricket matches and to horse races. I mean, that was all. I wish I would have had music running through the veins. I have to just catch up on a few comments here that people have made. I wasn't sure about this one, but then I realized it's okay. I thought somebody was taking... was actually stating that he found you, but he isn't saying that. Let me read what this says. Thomas Wagner. It's a nice surname. He's in France. Hello, everybody. I just wanted to say that Danze Macabre is a real nice discover I made, thanks to Steve Owers, who made this demo with the expensive guitar on Facebook and YouTube. And I saw that. That was brilliant. I've got to stop saying brilliant. And by the way, that's me, not him. And by the way, this guitar sounds amazing. But anyway, fantastic album, great playing, and amazing voice from Nell. Hope I'll see you playing live one day. Greetings from France. Love you guys. And that's nice. And Smith, it's no wonder that Nell has a fabulous voice. It's obviously in the genes. I guess you're wearing Levi's. I don't know what she means, but anyway, let me just pull myself up onto the camera here. So this is well, you know, I mean, I like to have a conversation, but I've got so much I need to ask you. The show's all about me. It's all about me asking questions from people that I adore, whose work I adore. Rock music is always about taking chances and being cutting edge, but going out on a limb and bringing an operatically trained female singer into your aesthetic wasn't only a bold move, it turns out to have been a stroke of bloody genius. So which one of you takes credit for being the genius?
Oh, me, definitely.
Well,
Yeah, well,
well, I'll tell you the classic thing is when I did the depth for the band that Nell was playing with, you know, I came back and I said to Mark, I worked with this girl tonight, and I said, she's like absolutely amazing. She's a great player. Steve's going, I don't want to hear it. That's what he said. I don't want to hear it. Yeah. I heard it a million times. And, you know, it really took me a bit of persuasion.
That's once we recorded.
Yeah.
It was all fine, but I am claiming all the genius aspect of it, honestly. Absolutely.
And there's another thing I'm curious about. Steve, you taught music to students at various schools and colleges, including Priestland in Pennington, Hampshire, which is, for folks that don't know it, in southern England. And, as an aside, I have to mention this. I do ramble, but I have to mention this. Something that personally excited me, made the hairs at the back of my neck stand up. The singer, who's known as Birdie, Jasmine van den Bogard, is an alum of the school. Her father is the author, Rupert Bogard, and this is the bit that turns me on. Rupert is the nephew of Dirk Bogard, and the late Dirk is my absolute favourite actor and autobiographer. So I had to just mention that because that was so amazing when I saw that. But getting back to you, Steve, and teaching the music, you've actually had former students support the two of you in gigs. That alone must give you a feeling of such accomplishment.
It does. I mean, I have to say, I really enjoy teaching. It's a great thing, and it's one of those things you get. It's instant feedback. If you're teaching somebody and it's just amazing. You can do something quite simple. They hear it and they're just on it. You know, if they've got that enthusiasm, they just really go for it. And I mean, it was a really great environment to teach in because it was when I first started there, it was like drama and music college. So you had, everybody was kind of on stage, that kind of thing. So open the fridge and do 20 minutes. That was just about the whole school at one stage. So, it was great fun, and yeah.
It was very generous. It was very generous, because in the industry that you've been involved with, engaged with, but worked in, it's like Hollywood. It's not the most generous of businesses unless you're in a little clique, and you're part of a group of people. But you don't get doors to open for you that often. So I just thought that was a very generous and very kind gesture. And obviously you didn't pay them, so you're a cheap bastard. But anyway, watching the videos of the three of you and reading comments and just generally getting a feel for the chemistry, which is clearly there, as well as the enormous pleasure of being three parts of a triangle. I'm curious about one thing. I'm curious about millions of things, but what have you, Nell, learnt from the Owers brothers, and what have you, Mark and Steve, learnt from Nell as far as expanding your creative horizons?
I'm going to go first, because
I'm not surprised.
Mark and Steve have unleashed the beast, if you like, in me. They have pushed me in a good way so much further than I thought my vocals could go. I'm hitting notes that I never thought I could do. I mean, Mark is an absolute...
Say it now.
In the studio, I mean, these two argue all the time in the studio, all the time.
Oh, yes.
And we're doing that about an hour ago as well, actually.
Well, it was about, but he still sung the wrong part.
Oh, shut up. But no, jokes aside, Mark really pushed me, but in a really good way. I mean, he told me when I sounded rubbish. He gave me that encouragement when I didn't think it was good, and he clearly knew that it was good. And they both just knew how to push me and push me forward in the studio and how to get that, because I was like a shy
total novice when it came to recording.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do get very nervous, still do, but I think that's a good thing. It builds up the momentum. But certainly, especially coming with these guys and their background and everything, stepping into the studio to sing their songs, that they have written, and then moving forward, I would sort of get in there and I would get lost in everything and just go for it. But I'd come home and I'd be driving home and I'd be thinking, what? Is this a dream? What? What's happening? I mean, yeah, they have taught me so much more, and especially in rock. Putting my classical training and my, mainly a musical theatre background, really. Or that's where I thought I was going to end up, on the West End, and they taught me how I could put that in to rock.
Yeah.
And it just worked.
I mean, that's the thing. The one thing that was great for Mark and I is we had to write the songs from lyrically from a female perspective.
Yeah.
And also we soon found that the first thing we did, if you give Nell a kind of a role, that she's almost playing the song, like
the main protagonist.
Yeah.
She's the main protagonist. That's when magic happens.
Yeah. And I just completely forget about Nell. I'm that role, and I guess that's opera. That's theatre.
Yeah.
You are playing that character, and yeah.
And also the great thing about that, as soon as you've done a few tracks, it gave us all it makes it such an easy write in some ways for us. The subject matter, we can find, think of a female protagonist, whatever, it could be Joan of Arc or something. No, we haven't written that one yet, but it could be. And it instantly gives you a way to go with the lyric. So I just, Mark and I just tend to scrabble around with ideas, and we'll see something on the telly, and if it has a female protagonist, it's like, can we use that? Can we actually use that? You know.
So Nell is not only an integral part of the band, she's also a muse.
Absolutely, I think she is. Yes.
Except when you two argue, and I have to say, then she's not a muse.
I am not.
Sorry, I'm the master of the pun. I want to play a short video that I thought the audience would enjoy of Nell and Mark casually singing the melody of a new song, just a behind the scenes thing. So let's take a look at this right now.
Stand upon the stage was all I ever wanted, to live another life more beautiful than mine, to tell 1,000 tales of lovers, thieves and liars, to learn to feel the hurt, the truth within the lines. Some things that I've lost, now I know the cost. What happened to the man I used to love?
Yeah, I have to say, I get a little bit lost when I watch music like that. I forget what I'm doing. I was just thought I was sitting in my living room watching it. Now you seem to do what I see actors doing, and I see most professional artists do, which is even where you're casually, let's say, I don't know how else to put it, just singing a song, you get lost in the moment, don't you? You go to a place, wherever that place may be. Do you go to the place in the song, or where do you actually, as the singer, what place do you go to?
I think you're exactly right when you say I go to a place in the song. I sit in the music. I mean, that sounds ridiculous, but I genuinely, it takes over me. That's the only way I can describe it. It is me. That is me pouring the story, pouring my voice, my emotion, everything out of it. And for me, I think even just in rehearsals and things like that, there's no choice. I just do it and get on with it and get into it. You know,
if I can cut across now there, we have recorded things, just us playing and, you know, running through things in rehearsals, and, you know, it's all just an iPhone stuck in the corner. And I think you'll probably find some of these. Nell's giving it a full up performance, and we're just rehearsing. You know, the rest of us are just stood there.
I've noticed that. That's something that I wasn't even going to touch on, but I knew it. I could see it. That, you know. But I've got to be honest. All three of you are lost in the zone there. I want to move on because, you know, this could turn into a 3-hour show, because you're going to have to come back. We've still got time, but I've got so much more I want to do. I just want to tell the audience, because the name of the band and the name of the album that you've released is Danze Macabre. It's a tone poem for orchestra by the French composer Camille Saint-Saëns. Yeah, it's based on an old French superstition that there's a couple of, I mean, I'm just rambling on, but I thought I would cut to this, and then I'm going to come to a point eventually. It's based on a French superstition that death appears at midnight every year on Halloween, and it's sort of like the Pied Piper. The dead come out of their graves to dance for death while he plays his fiddle until the rooster crows at dawn, when they've got to return to the grave until the next year. So, other than substituting a Z or Z for the S in dance, which is spelled D-A-N-S-E, does the name of your band mean you'll now all be performing as Danze Macabre until you each take your final breath, like the Rolling Stones?
It'd be nice to think
Hope
so.
so, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
Who came up with Danze Macabre? I mean, yeah,
I did.
Well,
Because I love that piece of music. Really, it's as simple as that.
yeah.
Just that piece of music. And I figured, well, it just seemed appropriate. That's all I could say. Just seemed appropriate.
I mean, people did say no one's ever going to be able to pronounce that right. And to be fair, again, Philip, you have the only one that's able to pronounce it. It's great.
We have,
but people, you know, we are. It's not something that everyone can pronounce and things. And we just thought, you know what? So they'll remember it. You know.
But I got this totally wrong because I thought it was going to be Steve that came up with the idea. Because, I mean, let's talk about the album. As I have just said, it's the same name as the band, Danze Macabre. I know, Steve, you've always been captivated by 19th century Gothic novels, so I assumed that this was all the inspiration for the new name and the new direction of the music. Boy, did I get that wrong.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's one of those things that lyrically, I think because I've had an interest in things, we've always written songs that pertain to it, because you heard Nell singing the sort of proto version of If I Die Tonight, which is really about a character in an Oscar Wilde novel.
Yes.
Who commits suicide.
Yeah.
Yeah, stay right here for more cheery news, folks. I'm always I always think great music and great art is usually about tragic things. That's a terrible thing to say, because that's almost like ignoring sort of rock and roll, which can make you feel really up and things. But actually, if I'm thinking about something that really moves me, it's usually because it's quite tragic, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a laugh every minute.
This is a laugh a minute. I mean, it's. I mean, it certainly plays into an element that I enjoy. But and now I'm going to ask Nell. You know, this album has I like this word, so I paid a lot of money for it, so I'm going to use it. But the album has a melange of musical genres which range from, I'd say, bluesy to classical to down and dirty rock. Did you know you had the versatility to handle whatever was thrown at you by these guys? And I'm curious how you now prepare for it vocally.
No, I had no idea I was capable. And to be honest, sometimes I still think that I don't, but well, no, it's true. I mean, you know, I think whatever they've done and they're doing, it's working, and I'm just going to roll with it. So that's absolutely great. I'm not going to give it a second thought. Let's just, you know, it works. Great. You know, and to prepare for these things vocally, I mean,
some of them are very high.
Oh,
very high. I pushed her range.
I mean, now it doesn't sound like she's singing particularly high. That's a
No.
disaster.
But that's what my parents
up there
said.
with bats talking to each other a lot of the time.
Every single track we recorded, and I took home to show my parents just the rough versions. They would sit there and they would say, "Christ, Nell, how the hell did you get up there?"
That's why that's exactly why I'm asking you this, because when I listen to you, I think, "Oh my God, she's going to rip her throat out."
Yeah,
what have they done to her? What are they doing to her?
No, well, absolutely. And you know what? It doesn't feel like that, I can assure you. I look after my voice. I'm very, very careful. But do you know what? There were occasions where, and my dad, I'm hoping he's watching. He'll remember this. There was a word in a song, and actually, it's not actually on the album. It will be in our second album, so keep tuned, guys. And it was stratospherically high, and it's the word, and it's really hard to pronounce some words, the higher you get. So it's all about the vowel sounds and where you bring the diphthong in and oh la la la. And I just couldn't get it. So I just thought, right, I'm gonna call my dad. So I rang my dad, and he gave me a 5-minute lesson.
We're all hearing this in the studio. They're sat there with the mics up and everything. Yeah.
And he's saying, "Oh, sing it like this, sing it like this," and then I'd sing it on the phone. And he'd be like, "No, no, no, Eleanor, no." Anyway, I got it, and I went, "Right, Mark, record, press record." and I did it, and then obviously as you do in the studio, I did it again, and I got it in my head. But yeah, I have to work hard on quite a few things, and especially when we perform live.
Yeah, it's a real workout.
Yeah. Good. I need a lie down after our gigs.
Oh my God.
One thing I will say with Nell is, like, on the album, there's no vocal tune, there's no auto tunes, none of those things.
No.
They are all genuine performances. She tends to start at the beginning of the song and sing to the end.
Yeah. I don't like doing word by word by word by word.
Yeah.
Use the flow of it, you know.
She sings the whole thing.
In fact, you can't stop her once she's off. There's no point pressing. You gotta stop. So
no.
But let me just then ask you, chaps. The album has such strong element for me, anyway. I mean, it's all subjective, but to me, it's got elements of opera, and I'm wondering whether, clearly Nell either inspired this or did she contribute to the songs? I'm asking you two to answer this, just because there's so much operatic elements to it.
I think really, I mean, Steve and I, we really write the songs, and but how can I say? Once we've got the bones of an idea down, once I've got Nell singing it, then it fires other ideas for me, and I can hear certain things that I kind of think would work and want her to do. So really, I suppose from my point of view, I kind of look at Nell as being another instrument rather than just that traditional role of singer. It's like it's like an instrument, because I mean, for an example, in one of our songs, it's in some ways a catchy sort of commercial tune. In the middle of that, there is an operatic thing. Now, the reason that's stuck in there is I now was mucking about and I could hear her doing this, and I thought, well, that's going to work. Let's do that. So I brought
well, the voice is, of course, an instrument, so it's an interesting perspective there, which I hadn't even thought about, that you take the body away and you just work with the voice, and that's really amazing. I want to talk about Jamaica Inn, because it's the Jamaica Inn for me is an anthem of our age. I said to you before we started that I keep humming a song. It's Jamaica Inn. It seared itself into my mind musically and visually, especially from the video, which is one of the best. And I don't kiss ass. People know that. I'm very, very honest about things. But this is one of the best music videos I have ever seen. It was directed by Ricky Thind. The video, folks, listen. The video's about 5.25 minutes long. I'm playing it at the end of the show, the whole video. Stick around for that. You will be amazed. I'll tell you more about that in a minute. But the inspiration came from the novels of Daphne du Maurier and Oscar Wilde. You've very, very top-notch literary taste, both inspirationally and creatively. So that puts you in a league with Brian May of Queen, surely.
I guess so. Yeah.
Smart asses. That's twice I've said that. Smart Alex. I don't know what to call you. You're just brain boxes.
That's how I say it be. But I have nothing to declare but my genius.
I think Jamaica Inn is our
proudest.
That's
that's it. I think so far the for me, the best thing we've done. Other people have said other things, though, you know. But that just all came together at the right time, I think. And I think we were hugely lucky to be introduced to Ricky.
Oh, absolutely.
And with I have to give my wife some credit here. Ricky got together with my wife because we haven't got loads of budget, and we had to get props and clothes, and my wife did all the clothes, and somehow between them they managed to get all the colouring and clothing and everything.
And were the people who are on the land there, the nasty looking people, the villagers, were they people that you knew from the pub?
No.
Two
of them were,
yeah.
But the other and your
my
son,
one of my sons is in it as well.
Oh, I shouldn't say they were nasty.
But the others, Ricky put an advert out onto a sort of a casting website, and just looking
great,
for the vicar, Justin.
Did Justin.
Brilliant!
What a talented guy.
Do you know what they did? That all for nothing.
Yeah, those guys.
The extras,
just to be involved.
Yeah,
wow.
They just did. We sent them the track, and we were actually quite. We were being quite careless actually, but we made them promise that they wouldn't share it or anything like that. Thinking back about it, and they fell in love with the track. And they were just like, we want to be part of this. Please, can I, and came along and did it for nothing. I think Justin travelled, the vicar in the video travelled about 3 hours on the train.
Good Lord. Mark earlier said, let's get myself on the screen here for a minute. Mark earlier said, we were talking and you heard that he said that now you sort of throw yourself into it even in rehearsals. And what I'd like to do is to show, ladies and gentlemen, I want to show you a short video of my guests and Nell's bare feet rehearsing Jamaica Inn. It's just a short snatch here of video, but I am going to find it for you now. I'm worn out. Now, there's a few things I want to point out there. Number one, it wasn't only Nell who was getting into it. All three of you were getting into it. Number two, I love the fact that, Nell, you are beautiful, and all the photos that are taken of the three of you, you're all beautiful. But you remind me of a ballet dancer, or you remind me of an actor or an actress, because there you are, just in your street clothes, basically, your glasses. But the Nell that we know from the photos and from the video is there inside you, and you've given it your all. That was so fantastic. But I have to ask you now, do bare feet help you sing better, or don't these guys pay enough money to afford shoes? I'm just curious.
No, do you know what? I perform barefoot.
She does.
I can't perform in shoes. I know that sounds ridiculous, or at least heels. I can't perform in heels. I've got to practice, I guess.
Yeah,
so it would be a bit weird if I had to walk around barefoot all the time. But no, I feel it centres me better, and I get a better balance, because it's not just about singing in here. It's singing from here, and you sing from your feet up, and when I'm balanced properly, I perform better.
But all three of you there. That was a rehearsal, obviously. Yet that was, to me, that was watching a stage show, because all three of you were lost in the music, and you can't pretend that it's just Nell that does that. You all do it, and so you just don't look at yourselves. I'm getting all sorts of mentions here, comments here from people who have. Anne said Jamaica Inn was a video she just watched, because we did put it out for a while. Thomas in France is back again, saying he's seen the video 10 times. Comments about your voice. Thomas says something about Nell, but I'm going to get to that in a minute. I want to put on the screen at the moment something else which is so original. And what I'm putting on the screen now, because you can't see this, are the lyrics for Jamaica Inn, which comes along with the music. And I am going to assume that, are these the original notes? And whose handwriting is that, by the way?
It's me, and I have to say, before people look at it, I do apologise. It wasn't my idea to put them up like that.
But it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Because what tends to happen, to be honest with you, Phil, I'm working on them over a period of time. When I go off I get a little bit stuck, so I draw a picture until some other inspiration hits. So
that was. Oh, I mean, I'm enthusing here like a little boy, but I have to enthuse. Everything that you do just smacks of class. Now, you've already touched on this, but I just want to make sure I understand this. This is Mark and Steve, but also a little bit for Nell. Does one of you focus on the words and the other on the music? And is Nell now contributing to either of these particular aspects?
Yeah. I mean, I tend to. What happens is I generally get in the studio on my own and I have a fiddle around with things. I mean, Steve tends to come over and play drums. We'll get together and we'll get a shell of an idea together. And then if Steve, it builds really from then Steve getting a title or an idea, as he said before, about, from a novel of a female protagonist or some event or something, and then we come back.
It can just be a word sometimes.
Yeah.
We have a song called Connected on there, and it was just that, it was probably something Mark or Nell said about that, and that was us arguing like the world song, you see. Yeah. And now we've had Brexit.
You said you weren't going to mention.
No. But no. But the thing is, that hands across the water thing, I thought was a great idea.
Well, it is. It's like a world. I mean, you want to go out to everybody all around the world and all nationalities, and hopefully they like what you do. But that's what Connected was about.
Yeah. And it was just somebody saying that. We should be more connected with what.
Whose artwork is that? I'm looking at the cross at the top and the what is he, the priest or the
Steve, that's me. That's the drawing I was doing the lyrics.
You did the artwork? Stick to your day job. No, I'm kidding.
He doesn't draw all over his lyrics. He just does. He's writing lyrics and he's drawing, doodling pictures, and that's what they are.
I love it. Do you have a little bit more time to spend with me? Because we're going to go over the hour. So, folks, we are going to go over it's important. There's one track, well, so many tracks, but there's one track, Mistletoe Bride. And let me just talk to you here. Mistletoe Bride, it has another amazing video, which once again has the most stunning production value. So I thought we'd take a look at part of it and then talk about it. So this is Mistletoe Bride. I'm going to find it right now, and let's play the track.
It's late, but I can't seem to sleep. Outside, the winter's teeth bite deep. The truth is here to find within these walls.
I'm going to keep the camera on me. I'm going to say something. It may kill the conversation now. I hope you don't hate me for saying this, guys. But I feel Mistletoe Bride has... Now, I'm going to put the camera on you, actually, because I want to get your reaction to this comment that I make. I feel Mistletoe Bride has a touch of ABBA about it. And Nell... Now, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I mean that in a very positive way. And Nell seems to channel, and she does this a lot for me, Sarah Brightman. And this video and this song actually veers towards Andrew Lloyd Webber territory. In fact, the entire album has, for me, in quotes, inverted commas, dramatic stage musical written all over it. Am I headed in the right direction here? And perhaps maybe even with Nell's dad somehow involved?
Well, we kind of worked on, how can I say, lots of rock bands, it's a very one-dimensional thing, isn't it? And I think we've kind of always thought of a way of somehow encompassing a whole show, something theatrical as well as musical. Yeah, I think it's probably too far to go with Lloyd Webber, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So that's not really for me, but I take your point. But I wouldn't want anybody to think the music we do is like that. That's all I'm saying. But yes, in the idea of it being a whole theatrical experience, I would like to do, or we'd all would like to do something that encompassed that, certainly.
And I want to just give the audience background here because so often, I mean, in your music in particular, there's so much backstory. But Mistletoe Bride, unless I'm mistaken, it's based on British author Kate Moss's collection of short stories, which are called The Mistletoe Bride and Other Haunting Tales. The Mistletoe Bride, also known as the Mistletoe Bough.
Right, yes.
Buff is a horror story, but became a song by Thomas Haynes Bailey, which was regularly sung at Christmas time in Victorian households. But these are original lyrics from such an unlikely inspiration for a rock album. Why this particular story?
Well, I can tell you completely why. First of all, my sister-in-law was reading that book, and she said to me, "There's a great story here. Have a look at it." And it also had a basis in Hampshire, because in the Kate Moss story, the inspiration came from a house in Hampshire where this is supposed to happen, which weirdly enough now is a police academy. So the romance is somewhat gone. I probably just killed it dead with that. But that's where the inspiration was, and I thought, well, we're in deepest, darkest Hampshire, so that's a good one. And I thought we could have that thing of, once again, a female protagonist, the Mistletoe Bride. There she is.
I also just meant I'm trying to cram now a lot in because I don't want to go over too much. I know a lot of people around different countries have to go to bed, but I've got to tell the audience this, and I've got to ask you a favor, actually, guys. Let me just put the camera on myself. I love putting the camera on myself. Paid a lot of money for the makeup. No, I'm not. Nell's dad, I've already said, is David Rendall, and he recorded a famous song which Mark and Steve rearranged. And on July the 31st, 2015, the finest version I have ever heard of The House of the Rising Sun was recorded. And I'm just wondering if you fellas happen to have a copy that you could send me.
Oh, I will be able to send you one. Yeah, absolutely.
I would love to share it with the audience. I mean, we won't get sidetracked now, but it was so masterful that the way that you changed it, and you changed it for him, it blew me away. I mean, this is why I'm saying you're so brilliant. You're so brilliant. Anyway, the backing vocals on your album And this is, this is sort of an instructional video almost for the audience. The backing vocals on your album are all your own voices, and I thought it would be fun to show Nell and Steve, ladies and gents, or germs. I want to show you Nell and Steve, just a brief glimpse of them recording the backing vocals for the track that we've already discussed or spoken about, alluded to, called Connected. So I have to just find that here, and I think I found it. So this is Nell and Steve doing the backing vocals on a track called Connected.
Hi, we're in the studio recording the track.
Latte. Right, okay.
Hi, we're in the studio recording the track Connected. Nell and I are just putting down some backing vocals.
All right then, here we go. Ready?
Yep. With one voice we will unite here tonight. Just with a show of hands. With one voice we will unite. Just with a show of hands.
Wow. Listen, before we wrap this up, I know the three of you have worked with my pal, British music legend Zoot Money on the Book of Life album and at gigs. How did that relationship come about? I'm going to put a few pictures up while you tell me.
Well, I was introduced to Zoot by Malcolm Forrester, who's our music publisher. He's known Zoot and used to watch him, gig in the 60s and whatever. And he, I'd heard of him anyway. And he thought it would be a really good idea if he came down and met Stephen and I and Nell and see if he fancied doing something. And of course, he had ideas for making a new album. And, after working with him down here, which is just great fun and so easy. I mean, the great thing about working with Zoot is Steve and I say he never plays the same thing once. That's because he just goes straight in and, you get a live performance from him basically in the studio. There's no
he's never going to do a second take.
No, it's like,
It isn't going to happen.
off you go. He's done it,
Well, listen, I'm just going to almost wrap this up, but I just want to point out to my audience who may not be familiar with the reason I'm wearing a poppy, totally going off track here, but I just want to point this out. I'll be wearing it this week and again next week. It's customary to wear a poppy in the weeks leading up to the 11th hour on the 11th day of the 11th month, known as Armistice Day, the day which marks the end of the First World War, and it's coming up to its centenary. And it's become a tribute to men and women who have fought so bravely in all of the wars since. So please support your local veterans organizations. It's something that's near and dear to my heart, wherever you're watching us on planet Earth. Mine came, a plug here, from A Taste of Britain in Wayne, Pennsylvania, and their address is A Taste of Britain in Wayne.com. Back on the guests here, let me tell everyone that my guests have been Mark and Steve Owers and Nell Montague-Rendall, who are known collectively as Danze Macabre. Download the album from your favorite online music filling station or buy the record, cassette or 8-track or whatever it is that brings music into your life. And don't forget to visit, and it's been on your screen for the past hour and 10 minutes. Don't forget to visit dancemacabre.com. Let me see if I can make that a little bit larger for you. There, it's full screen now. There's the address, folks, dancemacabre.com. Got it? I hope so. Ladies and gentlemen, I am going to play us out. Whether you've seen it a million times or not, I could care less. I'm going to play out with a 5.5-minute video of Jamaica Inn, and I would advise you, whatever you're watching us on, go to full screen if you're not on full screen now. And also, I don't give a damn what time of the morning or night it is and how close you live to your neighbours. turn that volume way up so the ceilings and the walls reverberate. You are about to be amazed visually and musically. Let me have a quick look at... Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for all of your comments. I'm being so nice to you today. I'm calling you ladies and gentlemen. You lot. Great show, Anne said. Rabina said, I'm singing on the... Okay. Oh, Rabina's singing on the 10th for World War One. Rabina, World War One's over. Oh, you mean as a remembrance for World War One? Thomas in France just said, wow. Let's see. Thanks for giving us a great time, guys. Love your new song. I'm well, dear. Perhaps... Anne Smith, when we were talking about Barefoot, she said, Anne says, perhaps Sandy Shaw felt the same way. Listen, all of your comments are posted on the Facebook page, so the guys here will be able to read them on my Facebook page and maybe respond to them. And if you're watching this video now on YouTube and you didn't catch the live show, that's great, because you can keep watching this, and please share it with all your friends, and do tell everyone around the world about these three great people who are, I hope, going to become my new best friends and going to come back again soon. And I must say, just to prove the research I do, I've come up with a perfect menu for the three of you when we get together. We're going to have Catalonian frog pie with Greek biryani washed down with an Italian prosecco. Does that sound nice?
Perfect.
It's a date.
It's a date. Listen, I'm going to cut you all off in a minute, but I have to tell you that you've been fantabulous guests. I wish you every success, and I want to be a part of your lives. You tell me what's going on. You'll come on. We'll share it with the world. And as they say in the music world, you guys rock.
Thank you so much for taking the time. Yes, thank you.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to see you next week. We are going to play Jamaica Inn, the video from the album, and volume up. Ready? Large screen. Let's rock.
Souls to keep, the faithful prayed on bended knee. The priest then spoke the eulogy. But where was God that fateful night? And did he see the sailors' plight? They had no strength to stand and fight. We drowned them by the lantern's light. But what will become of me? I'm cast a thousand
Thanks for watching. If you like what you've seen, don't forget to subscribe to our Danze Macabre YouTube channel for more content.